Hello everyone, Lurgs here, and today I'll show you how to remove the rear light cluster on a Vauxhall Vivaro and then show you how to remove the bulbs and replace the bulbs. And this should also be the same for the Renault Trafic, Fiat Talento and Nissan Primastar, as these are virtually identical vans. If you've got a tailgate version, then lift the tailgate. If you've got barn doors like on this Vauxhall Vivaro, then open up the rear doors. And inside here you've got 3 Torx screws or Torx bolts. This Lurgs, he talks a good game. So you've got one here at the bottom, one in the middle and one at the top. So you're going to need a Torx bit set like this one here. And this particular one is size 30. I don't think that's 30mm because that is massive, but it's size 30 in this Torx set. Now, to give easier access, you can just gently pull this lever out, which releases the rear barn door, and that allows you to fold it out even further. Obviously you won't have this problem if you've got a tailgate. So let's undo the bottom one first. Once it starts moving, you can just twist it with your fingers. So let's remove these 3. And then put that somewhere safe. Now let's remove the middle one. I've already loosened this off with the socket wrench, so I can just gently unscrew it anti-clockwise with my fingers. Now don't worry about removing the last Torx bolt. The whole rear light cluster won't just fall on the floor, it is actually held in with some clips, and I'll show you that when we get to those. So now let's remove the 3rd and final one. Obviously we're removing the right hand rear tail cluster, and it'll be exactly the same procedure for the left hand side. So this is the final one to remove. Again, put that safely with the others. Right, now we can go about removing the actual whole cluster so we can get access to the bulbs inside. You can see at the moment it is slightly loose, but we can't remove it from this part. What I'm going to have to do is come around the outside and just gently prise it towards you as you're standing facing the side of the van. And it's got 3 metal clips, one at the top, one in the middle and one at the bottom. If you gently prise it out, it should just pop out like that. I'm going to close the door very gently. Don't want to trap anything. And that makes it easier to remove the whole cluster. Now at the moment the whole rear light cluster is just resting on the chassis. But just gently remove it off. Keep a good grip on it. We do not want to drop it on the floor because of the cable. So it's just a bit dusty in there. Few leaves and a bit of dirt and cobwebs, so I'll just give that a good clean while it's off. Now you can unplug the entire unit if you need to replace the whole unit, if there's something wrong with it. And you do that by unplugging this cable here, but we actually don't need to do that today because we're just going to be checking the bulbs and replacing the bulbs. And first of all, I'm going to check and replace the tail light and brake light bulb, which is one bulb with 2 filaments. To remove this, gently turn it anti-clockwise about 45 degrees, and then pull it towards you and it just gently pops out. And there is the tail light bulb there. You can see there it's pretty well used, it's slightly burnt. Now to remove this, just push the bulb downwards and then twist it anti-clockwise and then pull it out. Now you notice on this it's got offset pins. That's really important when you're reinstalling the bulb. Now this one is actually fine, but if it was broken, the filament would be burnt or moving about in the bulb. Now this is a 21 watt and 5 watt dual filament bulb. I've got a good quality Lucas replacement here. Now as I mentioned previously, these have got offset pins, so it's very important that you put this in the right way. I think it can only go in one way, but if you think it's not going in, do not force it because you may have the pins around the wrong way. So you've got a lower pin and an upper pin. Before you put the bulb back in, make sure the contacts are in good condition. If there's a bit of rust or corrosion in there, just give that a clean with some sandpaper and squirt some WD-40 in there. This one's in good condition. So just line that up with the grooves and then gently push the bulb down and then twist it clockwise to lock it in. And before we put it all back together, it's definitely worth testing it. You don't want to find out it's not working after it's all back in. So I'm just going to put the lights on, the main headlights. So the rear tail light should be on, which it is. And this is a dual filament bulb, so when you press the brake pedal, the brake light should come on. So let's just look at that. Fantastic. That's all working perfectly. Let's just turn the lights back off. Now we can put that back in, into the holdall. Just line it up with the grooves. Just line it up with the empty slots there. And then just twist it clockwise about 45 degrees and then just lock it into place. Brilliant. Right, now let's remove, check and replace the rear indicator bulb. This is the same thing. So turn it anti-clockwise and then pull it towards you. Now your van may be different, but this one is an orange bulb, so it's really important when you replace it to replace it with an orange bulb. To remove this, push the bulb down, twist it anti-clockwise, and then it will just pop out. Check it, check the filaments. This one's actually in good condition. If it was burnt or the filament was moving about inside the glass, it will need replacing. Make sure the contacts are good if you're putting it back in. If there's any corrosion there, just gently rub that with sandpaper and squirt some WD-40 on it. And this is a 12 volt 21 watt bulb, and this has got slightly offset pins. They're not completely parallel with each other. So again, remember that when you're reinstalling a bulb. Make sure there's no corrosion inside there. If there is, give that a good clean. Some sandpaper and WD-40. So this has got slightly offset pins. Make sure it goes in the right way. Push it down and twist it to lock it into place. It's definitely worth testing before you put it all back together. So let's just see if that rear indicator is working, and it is. Fabulous. Right, we can reinstall that. Line it up with the empty grooves, the empty slots. Push it and then twist it clockwise and lock it into place. Fabulous. Right, now we can reinstall the whole rear light cluster. You've got these metal clips here. So just line those up with the 3 holes on the side of the chassis. I'm doing this with one hand and filming it with the other, so it's a little bit tricky, but this will be much easier if you're using two hands. Line them up with the holes. Gently push it in and you'll hear it all just pop in nicely. Great stuff. Right, now gently open the rear door. If you had the tailgate version, the tailgate will already be up. And if we look here, it's already lined up, so we can get those Torx bolts back in and get this whole unit back into place. So we've got the 3 Torx bolts here. Let's get this first one in, just screwing it in clockwise. This one's a little bit dry, so I'm just going to put a bit of 3-in-1 oil on it. I always start them off gently. You don't want to cross thread anything, so just make sure that it goes in nice and easy. If it feels like it's not tightening up, then undo it and then try it again. This one's going in nice and easy. Then once you've done that hand tight, you can take your socket wrench and just give it one last tighten. It doesn't have to be crazy tight. Just tighten each of those Torx bolts up. One, two, three. With the 1, 2, 3, 3 to 2, 1. My name is Lurgs and I'm doing this for fun. Brilliant, look at that. All back in place. Fantastic. Let's just test it out. I know they work because we tested them earlier. But just one final test. Indicator. Main light, so tail light. You can see that on both sides. And then pushing the brake pedal. Fabulous. Great stuff. Good job. Tell you what, I think it's time for a cup of tea. Whilst I'm having a lovely brew, I'll put some other useful Vauxhall Vivaro videos around the edges of the screen. Enjoy your Vauxhall Vivaro and safe driving to you.